Now, Trump is still good at holding the big audience. If anyone thinks the guy's losing it, he's crawling around like Nixon did the last days, supposedly, in the White House. I don't see any evidence of it in his speech. The same kind of speech, holds an audience, does a really good job of cajoling them and getting them to yell stuff like, I love you, Trump.
How about no bell, no bell, no bell?
Yeah, no bell. Was it good? Now,
that was great.
I figured out what his new angle is going to be based on a couple. I got 4 clips you can play. I don't know how many you want to play. One of them I thought was kind of interesting because I never heard the story before about the British Embassy. And actually, the British Embassy story is interesting because it gives a little hint as to his new direction politically insofar as how he's going to appeal to the public at large. Let's play that.
Reading about it. So the embassy, but it's not that, look, it's opening in a month. Now, as you know, in the UK, in London, we had the best site in all of London. The best site. Well, some genius said, we're going to sell the site, and then we're going to take the money and build a new embassy. That sounds good, right? But you have to have money left over if you do that, right? So they sold the site for I think, and I'll check the numbers because they'll say, oh, he misrepresented it, but these numbers are close enough. They sold the site for $250 million. They think they're geniuses. They go out and they buy a horrible location, and they build a new embassy. That's the good news. The bad news, the embassy costs over $1 billion. So now what do we have? We have an embassy in a lousy location. And I was supposed to cut the ribbon. I didn't do the deal. It was started by Bush and Obama. It was a Bush-Obama special. But it could have been stopped by Obama. It would have been stopped by me. So they have. So I said, what kind of a deal is that? You sold this great site. It's the best site in London. Literally, the best site. They were so happy they got $250 million or whatever. But they spent all of that money plus a lot more to build a new embassy in a lousy location. So, I don't know, folks. We need a whole new thinking here. We need a whole new thinking. We need a whole new thinking. We're going to finally put America first, okay?
Hey, does this embassy have a green zone? I mean, how big is this place?
Well, you have to remember this is a Bush. I like the use of the word a Bush-Obama special, which is, I think, when I play the next clip, I think I've seen where he's going to go with his targeting over the next period. But this was a period after 9/11 when Bush. And they were still in Iraq, and they were building that monster, the Green Zone monster.
Which was multi-billion-dollar with the big green zone.
Multi-billion-dollar embassy, which I think they've half abandoned now. And it's more or less of a spying. It's more like a CIA office or And so they built this thing in London out in the middle. They did have a great location for their old embassy. You've probably been by it.
Sure.
And they moved this thing to some, it's like one of these brick, or not brick, but a big cement, ugly-looking piece of crap, which they've been building all over the world. These embassies are not anything to be proud of in terms of their appearance.
They're more like bunkers.
They're like bunkers. They're secure. They have, they got this. Supposedly the Russians can't drop bugs all over them or whatever it normally goes on. And it costs a lot of money. And this was during that period where everyone's freaky and they're all paranoid, and that's the Bush administration. Obama could have put a stop to it, and he didn't. Has
this thing been done by some high-end architect? That's what it looks like. Oh,
I don't know.
Jeez.
It should say on the picture if you're looking at the picture. So let's go to where I think Trump's going to be head. This is Trump in Michigan blaming the new target.
With the European Union last year, it sounds so nice, the European Union. You know why? I mean, they literally did, like I said, they formed to take advantage of the United States. And I don't blame them. You know what? I don't blame them. I don't blame President Xi. I don't blame Prime Minister Abe of Japan. I don't blame the heads of these countries for taking advantage of us. I blame past presidents and past leaders
Wow.
our country.
Wow, that is possibly the most American-type message you could give to the world leaders.
Yeah, he goes on with the stories.
That's very interesting, and I've heard him ramp this up, and this is totally his new thing. It's like, hey, world, we may have screwed you, but it was those guys.
He has decided, and I think this could be effective because we've seen especially with Bush. Who nobody really liked, and except, there's some diehards, and the Christian right liked him quite a bit. And Obama, which was really pretty much the black community, loved the guy to the end. But generally speaking, and I don't know about Clinton, but these presidents aren't necessarily liked, and they're seen as douchebags by some circles. But no one's ever actually gone after the past presidents the way this guy looks like. No, it's not done.
It's like a not done type of thing, which is why he's doing it, I'm sure.
Well, it's going to work because it sounds like it might not. There's more to that clip, I believe.
Yeah, just before
he starts ramping up. You can see where he's headed. You can see, and you have to look at these speeches he does to the stadium audiences. And by the way, I watch this stuff, and it's just like, if this guy isn't a reincarnation of Mussolini, I do not know who is. Wait. He does this thing. I've never seen any of the impressionists do it, but you've seen him do it. He does it when he's seated.
The profile.
He jerks his body over, and he doesn't just turn his head. He moves his whole body over about 45 degrees and then turns his head and stares at something at a direct angle at someone or something with a very stern look. And he usually does it to the left. He does it to the right once in a while, but it's almost always to the left. He's got that's his good side. And he'll do this, and he poses it.
Yes.
And it just looks like Mussolini. People got to go back and look at Mussolini.
No, you've mentioned this several times. I'm in complete agreement.
But
yeah, the idea of criticizing previous presidents is going to drive people apeshit. Because now they think that it's extremely un-American to do this. I think it's very American to do this. Hey, we screwed up with those guys.
They did it with Carter, and Obama did it with Bush.
Oh, really?
Bush did it with Clinton.
Not to this level.
No, not to this level. He's blaming all of them.
Yeah, but he's saying to the world leaders, hey, we killed your people? That was that other guy. Come on, this is genius.
I was in China, and I was making a speech, and I was saying how bad it is, how unfairly we're treated. And I'm in front of thousands of people from China. And I could see the mood was getting dark, and I have President Xi over here, and I realized I was going point after point how bad it is for us, how good it is for them. They became a major power since the World Trade Organization, which is a horror show for us. Horrible. And I looked at President Xi, and he's the boss. He's the guy. I said, but it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the representatives of the United States who allowed you to get away with it. I don't blame you, right? Right?
Wow. There's got to be some research, certainly in warfare. This has got to be a very powerful move to make for your base. You know what I mean?
I find his approach to this whole thing, by the way, is a form of old-fashioned storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Borderline Shaggy Dog.
Mm-hmm.
He never quite gets to the full Shaggy Dog in terms of wrapping things around. He always wraps it back, because I have another instance where he tells a story and he starts going off topic, and I'm watching it saying to myself, how is he going to bring this back? Is he going to be able to do it, or is he just going to forget the point? Never forgets the point. Now, that said, he does have two prompters. He's not reading from them, but I think he has notes up there. And
shall we do the Chinese car?
He's telling a story in a way that is old-fashioned and really works well, and it holds an audience. The media just refuses to deal with this.
But when they send their cars over, we charge them almost nothing. Let me give you a great example. It's so simple. China. So when they send a car into the United States, of which they send many, including parts, and you people know something about the car industry, because I'm bringing it back to the state of Michigan, right?
I don't know, man.
So I'm bringing it back. And, you know, with Chrysler's moving back to Michigan from Mexico, you saw that. Some of you are beneficiaries of that one. Thousands of jobs. We have many, many car companies. You see what's going on. Toyota, many companies are opening up in Michigan.
Hey, hold on a sec. Didn't Obama save the auto industry after the Great Recession? Did they just take
saved General Motors?
Just General Motors?
Pretty much.
Huh.
I mean, that's the one that needed the bailing out. I think he also
did General Motors.
He offered money to everybody but Ford.
Did General Motors take their money and build factories in Mexico as well?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just checking.
The cars are coming back to Michigan. The plants are coming back. They're being expanded. And by the way, do you remember about 6 years ago, I wasn't even running, and they gave me an award, the Republican of the Year. I guess maybe they knew what was going to happen. I don't know. I wasn't running a long time ago. And I made a speech in Michigan thanking them for the award, saying how horrible, how did you let this happen, where all of these plants close, move to Mexico, they build the cars in Mexico, they sell them across the border, no tax, we lose the jobs, we lose the taxes, we lose everything. How did anybody let this happen? And guess what? Not happening anymore, folks. It's not happening. So now they're moving back. Now they're moving back. But let me give you an example. So China, great people. By the way, great people, great country, great leader.
Stop.
But when they...
So he started off with this China anecdote, went off, roamed around, and this is when I'm watching thinking, is he going to get back to telling us a story about China? And he beautifully brings it back in and then takes a little jump, talking about how great the people of China are, before he finally gets to the point. And it's like, it's really old-fashioned storytelling he's doing, and I think he does a wonderful job of it.
Example, so China, great people. By the way, great people, great country, great leader. But when they sell a car into the United States, they pay 2.5% tax. When we sell a car into China, number one, they don't want it, because they have barriers, so they won't take it. But if they took it, it's a 25% tax, okay? So think of it. So they have a tax that's 10 times higher. Now, what they say is, we don't want your cars. We have a barrier, but if we take them, it's 25%. So we're 2.5, 25. So far, it doesn't sound good. But what's really bad is they say, we won't take your cars. We want you to build your factories in China and make the cars there. Okay. All right. But you know what? Why are they wrong? Because now we're doing that also, okay? Build your factories here if you want to sell cars in the United States.
Oh, that's interesting.
Let them build them in Michigan, right? Michigan.
That sounds a kind of globalist.
Well, the other thing is most of those car makers, Honda, I think BMW and a few others, are building cars in the United States, and they have been for years, way before he came around.
Certainly
and there's
Japanese.
in South Carolina in non-union shops. He doesn't want to bring that up. And so it's not like this is a new invention or a new idea, but the way he presents it is like it's like all him. He does a very good job of that. And he does it in the form of these long stories. This event is just, he can do these things once a month, and the people just lap it up. It's fantastic. I think he's one of the best I've ever seen do this sort of talking. Now, he does have little needling here and there to get people to off their asses. It doesn't get into too much of it, but he does this one stab at Stabenow, the woman that's, I think she's a senator from Michigan, and he blasts the audience for letting her be a senator. I thought this was actually well done.
They've got to be voted out of office. And you have a senator in Michigan, Senator Debbie Stabenow. She voted against Kate's law. She voted against tax cuts. She votes against borders. She wants people to flow into the country, and you people just keep putting her back again and again and again. It's your fault. So you got to get to the poll. And we have some great people running. The primary is going to be over with soon. But we have some great people. And honestly, if you want the borders to be secure, if you want to keep those big tax... How have you done with the tax cuts, by the way?
Okay. All right.
He's unbelievable.
Entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
Better than Michelle Wolf.